Hello everyone, welcome to Zapier. In this video, we are going to learn about HTML, CSS and JavaScript for ABAPers and beginners. So in this video, we are going to cover what is web development, the use of HTML, CSS and JavaScript, how and where to use those, and some hands-on exercises. So let's start with web development. So what is web development? Web development is the building and maintenance of websites. To build a beautiful, responsive and a fast website, you must know HTML, CSS and JavaScript. HTML is used to structure the site, CSS is used for look and feel and design, and JavaScript is used to write the business logics. When all three combines together, it builds a wonderful website. If you are an ABAP developer, want to learn ABAP to UI5 Fiori, you must learn the web development concepts. So let's start with HTML. The full form of HTML is H as hyper, T as text, M as markup, L as language. So now what is hypertext? So hypertext is nothing but it's a machine readable text. So we can say HTML is structuring of contents which is used machine readable text, and markup means it's the text that appears between two pointed brackets. As an example, HTML. If you write code in HTML that supports in different browsers like Safari, Chrome, Firefox, Edge, etc. Now the common question comes to mind, where do I write HTML code? So let's have a look the free editors available to write HTML code. So all these editors are freely available on the internet. You can download any of this to start HTML coding. Now let's have a look of the basic HTML page structure. If you have a look it bit carefully, it has started HTML and at the end it is having HTML. So remember always, whenever you open up a tag, that tag has to be closed by giving a slash the same tag name. So like how it is opened up HTML, at the end it is just ended with slash HTML. Similarly, head it is started, it is ended. Body it is started, it is ended. So remember, whenever you open up a tag, that has to be closed. That is the best practice of HTML. So head and the body are the two main section of any HTML page. Head section generally contains all the HTML metadata like the title of the HTML page. If you wanted to include any CSS or any JavaScript, everything has to be kept inside this head section. Body section is mainly contains the content of your HTML. Like if you wanted to display or create any user interface, whatever you will be keep inside the body, that only would be displayed to the user. So everything would be much easier to understand once you go through the hands-on session. So let's start. I have installed Sublime Text in my system to write HTML coding. If you wanted to write an HTML coding, you have to open up a blank file. That file has to save as a .html extension. Open up the file and save it. I'm giving as HTML learning 1.html. So this extension is very important. Don't miss out to give this extension and save this out. Then what you can see is the HTML learning 1.html file is opened up here, and that also got stored inside. Here HTML learning 1. If you open up this one, you can see it's a blank page. What you can do is you can take the base structure of HTML. HTML starts, HTML ends, right? Then head starts, head ends. Then you can also give it the body starts and the body ends here. Now, as I said to you, this body is the main section of your HTML where all the UI elements can be stored here. So I'll show you just putting one UI element called as a heading. Heading is basically used as H tag, and that tag, so you can see all the tags are coming here: H1, H2, H5, H6. These are the different size of the header. H1 is the highest size. I'll just give it H1 and giving here as HTML learning. If this out, if I go to this application, if I save this out, if I run this application, say this HTML run learning is coming here. Now what you can do is you can add one more UI element called as paragraph. You can just open up and close this. Inside that you can write anything. Let's say I'm giving hello world and saving this out and refreshing it one more time. You can see the paragraph is available here. So similarly, there are so many UI controls are available. Like if you wanted to give a input, you can giving an input. You can giving an input. Input starts, input ends. You can give a text. Text open, text close. You can give it name, and you can see it. I saved it and run it one more time. Say this name and input box comes here. If you wanted to give the same thing, copy it and paste it down there. You can give it name, you can give it email now and save it and refresh it. See, name, email came here. If you wanted to give one more input called as, let's say, employee ID, save it and refresh it. Now, if you are getting all this text and input box horizontally, if you wanted to break out this line after this input, it should come down again. Email starts here. You can break out those lines or the continuity giving a statement called as break. Break open, break closed. The same thing, you can use it after every input. Now you can refresh it. You can see all these things that come down one by one. Now you can give a button. There's a button open, button closed. You can give a name of the button as sign in. Now refresh it. You can see the sign in button there. If you wanted to give an image, you can give an image. So image is having a property called as source. You can search any image in Google. Let's say I'm saying HTML page. Give it an image. Take this image and copy the image address. Go back to your file and put it in the source section. Now refresh your application page and see this magic. See, the image automatically came down. Now, whatever the UI controls I have shown here, apart from those, there are so many other UI controls are also available. What you can see by going to this HTML W3 schools, if you open up, you can see more detail about HTML, like it has tables, it has list. You can see the table here. You can see the list. Here is the list. If you wanted to see some other things, you can also find it out in this HTML in W3 schools. Is a very useful, like this will be very useful for you, or it should be any point in contact for writing HTML coding. Now, whatever you are seeing here, this is not looking good at all.
the look and feel is very dull here. If you wanted to improve the look and feel of your page, you have to use CSS. CSS is mainly used for changing the look and feel or give richness to your application. So let's learn what is CSS and how to use it over HTML application.
Learning CSS is a great fun. The full form of CSS is cascading style sheet. If you wanted to add some color, some background images, or some sort of animations to your application, you definitely think about CSS.
Now coming back to CSS. So CSS, as I said, to be used to change the look and feel of this page. So as of now, we have built this HTML5 screen. Now, if you want to change the color of this particular heading or to align all this input box or highlight this button, you have to use CSS in your code. Now, how to use CSS in your code? Let's go back to the HTML5 coding. As I told you, the CSS has to be used inside the body section. The tag name of CSS called as style. Open the style and close the style. In this style section, you can write different CSS. Now coming to the point, how do you write a CSS? Before going to start, there are two type of CSS. One is a class based CSS. Another one is a ID based CSS. Now the class based CSS is defined as giving a dot and the class name. Let's say I am giving header CSS or header text CSS. This is the class name as it is defined by dot. Now it has to be opened a curly braces and close it. This is called a class. And ID based CSS, you need to give a hash and you can give anything, header text CSS. So this is how to define a ID based CSS. This is how to define a class based CSS. Now, what is the difference between these two? What to use? I will just tell you later. Now, this is basically I am defining a class based CSS. Inside the class based CSS, let's say I want to change the color of this text HTML learning. Now, before going to change the color or assigning a new color, I will going to show you an interesting thing. Right click on your page, go to inspect. If you go inside this, you can come to the same HTML5, whatever you have written in this section. See the whole HTML code is coming here. Now, before going to write any CSS, you should know how to inspect your UI elements. Why it is required? Because see, you'd be assigning some color or some background it to a specific element, right? I want to change the color of this text, so I should highlight this particular text, right? I should not give the color to this one, the same color. I should not give that. I wanted to highlight to this particular text. So how to inspect it? There's an inspector icon. Click on this. Now inspect this. See, this H1 got selected. Now right hand side, you can see styles. In this style section, you can write different CSS. Now CSS is having different properties. If you want to change the color, color is one of the property. See, I am giving color, then enter. There are different colors are available. See, runtime, you can change different color. If you want to give any of the color from this, you can give that color, right? You can choose your own color and assign the color. Let's say I'm assigned this color. Okay. Now I want to change the font family. Just give it font. See, font family came. Now you can choose any specific font family, what you want to give it inside this for this particular text. So this is up to you. Again, I have given this one. Now, if you wanted to make the change the size of this particular font, you can give it font size. You can give it 20 pixel, 30 pixel, you can increase the pixel up to your choice, right? So you can see I have given 34 pixel. Now, if you wanted to make this particular text at the center of the screen, that is called alignment. So as this is a text, so text align. See, whenever you are giving text, it is automatically giving you all the suggestions. You need not to remember everything. Just type it, it will automatically give you suggestion. Text align, I have given center. See, it becomes center, right? Again, give it text align, give it center. The spelling is wrong. Text align center, right? Now, if you want to change the color of this, if you wanted to take it from any particular color palette, you can see it is coming all the color palette. It is up to you. If you want to change the color palette and choose a specific color, you can do that as well. Now, you have added a color now. You have changed the font family. You have changed the size of the font. You have given the alignment. Now, copy this one. These are your CSS properties. Now copy those CSS and paste it inside this class. Come here and paste it. So now I can say these properties of CSS are bound to this class now. If you assign this class to any of the UI properties, that UI property would be adding these CSS classes. See those CSS properties. Like how to assign this class? See this. I wanted to assign this inside this h1 tag. How to assign? Give class here equals to the class name. See this? I saved it now. Now if I go and refresh the application, see this? It got at the middle of the page with that color and the front that I have given. Now this is hello world one text I have given, right? Now if I just go and randomly select any normal free text called as lorem ipsum, if I copy this and if I paste it instead of hello world here, and if I run the application, see the entire text came here, right? Now I wanted to change this text also. How will I do it? Again, right click, go to inspect, inspect that particular element. You can write freely CSS here. Font size, you can give it 12 pixel or 14 pixel. Give it the color of this. If you want to give a black color or whatever color you need it, I have given black. Give the font family. Whatever the font family you are interested to, give that. I have given this system UI and I feel like this is okay. Copy this. Now what you will do? You would be creating one more class. I am giving a name of the class as paragraph. You can give any text. It is not mandatory to give any specific name. You can give any name. Open the braces and paste the properties here. And once you have given it, assign this class to the specific UI element you wanted to display. So class, just give the CSS. Now run the application. You would be able to see the changes are reflected, right? Now, if you wanted to just change this particular image size, see, I'm going to again inspect. Now this was the image, right? Now this image, see this image is highlighted here. I'm giving some height and width. Height is, let's say, giving 200 pixel. And I'm giving width as 400 pixel. Now see where the image went. The image came here. If you increase, I've given 20. Let's change it to 200. See, the size has came reduced to 200 by 400. So this is the image, right? Now, if you make it the width as 100%, you can do that as well. See, the width become 100%. That is not looking good, right? You can give it 600 pixels, something like that, right? Up to you. See, this is basically your height and width of the image that you have given, right? Now, if you wanted to change the image to something interesting one, let's say I am giving an SAP, or I can give a Zapier logo. I'll go to zapier.com. I will take the link of the, I'll copy the link address. I'll go to this application and change the source to zapier.com. And this image, I will not keep it at the down. I will copy it. I will put it just first of this H1. Now let's see how it looks. I'll refresh it. Say this is my Zapier logo. What will I do? I will go to inspect it. Now this time I'll give a height and width. Height I am giving 60 pixel. Width I am giving 80 pixel. So it is not looking good, right? So let me decrease the height a bit. This is somehow okay, right? Now, if you want to align this image with this text and other items, so what you can do is there is a property called as float. This float is basically to change the alignment of the content. So you can just select left. Now, if once I give left, automatically see this become switch up and it become aligned. But it is not exactly aligned. What you can do is, now this is up to this float. You can give it first and save it. Give it left. And now copy this entire CSS. Go to your Sublime text and create a class called as image, or you can say as logo, and paste this out here. Once you give that, copy this logo CSS and assign it on the image. Once you assign it here, now you come back to the screen. You definitely see that changes are reflected here. Now you can see this image and this HTML is not aligned properly. So what you can do is to align it properly, this HTML text has to go bit up. So there is a property in CSS called as margin. So margin is having, you can give a margin from different sides, like a top, like a bottom, like left or right. If I want to give a top margin, if I give 10 pixel, say this, it is coming, it is completely coming down. Say this, right? You can do like that, or you can give different size of margin. But here you need to give the margin to this image, point to the image and give it margin top and give it 1 pixel. Pixel is the unit. Now see this, it looks like the image and the HTML learning heading is completely aligned now. Now copy this added CSS and paste it inside your class. So always best practice is do your CSS at the time of runtime. And once you see it is perfect, copy that CSS and then apply it on your application text. Right now, what I'm going to do is, if you want to change this like text color or something, like if you want to just change the text format or the font size or the font family, what you can do is click on inspect. Now this paragraph, what you can do is just see the by default color is black, right? Now this black color, if you want to change it to some other color, see there are a list of colors are available, right? You can go and give it any of the color here. So I'm giving right now this blue color and all are okay. I'm going to just save this CSS properties. So recently you have changed this blue color, right? Go to the existing CSS. So here already written black color, changing it to blue. Save it. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to just make this name, email, password, and the input box aligned properly. So I'm going to inspect it. While inspecting it, what I'm going to do is this one, this name, input box, I am writing a CSS to give a margin Left hand side, I'm giving 10 pixel. See this? I'm going to maintain this distance for all input boxes. So margin left for 54 pixel means the box has slightly came to the right hand side, from the left hand side 55 pixel. Now see this, the other input box, I'm going to give a margin of, let's say I'm giving 40 pixel, and see it is aligned properly, not this is aligned properly. And the employee ID, you give a margin for this as well. Margin left as 10 pixel, not 10 pixel, this is enough, right? Or if you want to give slightly more, like up to this, then you also need to align the other two input boxes. Just increase that margin and make it properly aligned. If you are not aligned properly, your look and feel will not be good, right? You have to properly align all your input boxes or all of your UI element properly. So now it is aligned properly, right? Now, once it is done, so you need to create 3 different classes. Now I'm going to create one class for the input box, input one, and give this first, then copy the same to other 2 classes, input one, input two, input three. Now this time I'm going to give it the second one. We have given margin left as 66 pixel. So apply it. 66, first one is 66, which is perfect. So this one, let me check one more time, 66, which is also perfect. Now this one is 19 pixel. So this one only slightly I'm changing it. So see this, as I can see, these two classes are almost same. So you can see input one, input two, input three, input one and input two values are almost exactly same, right? So what you can do is you can assign the same class in both the inputs also. Like I'm assigning here class is equals to this input one. The same class you can assign because you need the same properties of CSS, right? Now the input three, I'm assigning to the input three class input three. I'm giving a break statement after this button, after this input box to break the button to the next line. Now I have saved it and let me run the application one more time. Say this, it has came properly, but the email has slightly got changed. Might be not given properly. So name email. So I have given the class instead of the input box, I've given to the text. So let me just modify and reload it one more time. See this, all these things are properly assigned. Now, if you wanted to change this font of this text, you are having so much options. Like you can select the font family, as I already shown to you. You can give anything, whatever you like. Let's say I have given this one. So the same font, I am just creating one class called as text CSS, and I'm only assigning this font family is equals to system UI. Right? Now assign this text CSS in all the text. Now this text, the same assigned to all the text properly. Now once you go back there, what you can see, all the all of your text has having the same CSS right now. It has been assigned properly, yes. Now what you can do is you can do some more CSS for the button. Now if you see, this button is looking so simple, right? Now if you go to this button and if you want to just give some height and width to the button, see this, I'm giving height. First let me give it the width of 100 pixel and height of 60 pixel. Is too big, so let me give up to 34 pixel, 33 pixel. Now I'm giving the background. See, I'm changing the background. You can give it some of the background like green or something, whatever you like to do. So let me just put it first of all green here. Once I put a green, I can change the color combination anytime from the color palette, right? See this? You can change the color, whatever, which color you like, that color you can put it here. So I have kept this. See, there is a border of black border is there. There is one more property CSS is there called as border. You can give it border. 1 pixel is the pixel of the border, type of the like border, and the color. You can give it, if you give it green, see, green color border will come, right? If you want to change this border color to something else, see, it is automatically changing, right? But I don't need to change that. I'll give the same one. Now the color of the text, I need to change it to white color. So I'll give it white color. See, now I have just given height and width, background, border, and a color of this. So see, it is looking much better than the previous one. Now, if you wanted to make it much beautiful, you can give some box shadows. There is one more property called as box shadow. You can give different pixel. I'll show you the pixel, how it works. You can give some color. Let's say I'm giving, okay, now see this. So this is from the right hand side. This is from the down side. This is just blurring that particular color, and this was, it has become highlighting. See, I have given some shadow. See this, with a black color I have given, right? Now what you can do is, if you wanted to just don't want to give the pure black, you want to just like transparent that black, you can just switch that particular color to transparency here. See this? Now see, you got some effect here, right? See, it looking much better now. So this become my button CSS. I'll copy the entire CSS and create a class over there and giving a name as dot button CSS and assign that particular CSS properties here. Once you assigned, copy this and then assign to the input, to the button, sorry. Now once you give that, you refresh the application. See, the changes are reflected properly here. Looks like this employee ID, this input box is slightly came in the right hand side. You can just give the proper alignment of 17 pixel is the correct one. Now see, this is looking much better. This also need to be slightly left hand side. Right? Okay. So now if you see, if I put, if you want to give some animations or some sort of an like hover or something, you can just modify your CSS. So see this, if you, this is your by default button CSS, right? Now once you touch your mouse cursor over here, you can just give some hover effect. How the hover effect? Like if you wanted to just change the background to a blue one. Okay, now this blue color, you wanted to get it only at the time of hovering that. Now how to do it? Very simple. Copy the same CSS with the color that you need. I need the background color as blue at the time of hover. So just give it colon hover. Once you give colon hover to that, now if you refresh the application, see, I'm hovering it. So it is not reflected. Just 1 second. The hover spelling was wrong. Yep. Now say this. Button CSS colon hover. Now I'll just put on hover. See this? The color of the button is getting changed whenever I put the mouse cursor there. Now, if you want to change the background color of this entire page, what you can do is the entire body background color, there is a property called as background. You can give any background, whatever do you need. Like see this, there are big different backgrounds are there, different color you can put it. Like if you wanted to give some color, like let's say some different color like this, you can put that. It's up to your choice what color you wanted to keep it there. So where you want to just assign it to the body. Now I'll go there, I'll create one more CSS called as page bg, and background is this, I'll assign to the entire body of this, right? Now if you see the that is got completely applied to that particular page. Now if you wanted to just put some background image, so let's say I'm just giving some background um, images. Okay, you can just check any of the background images. Let's say I copy this one, I will copy the image address of this. Now this, instead of background, if you want to put a background image, the property called as background image. How to do it? You need to give it URL, because you are just hard coding the URL, right? Give 2:, and apply that. So background image is the property name. URL, the URL of that particular background image, you can give it here. So now see, the entire background image also came. Now if you wanted to give that, copy that CSS and paste it over here, right? This is so simple actually. Now if you don't have any particular link, if you have stored into your application that image, you can give the application link path also. So it will work like that. Now if I go back to the application, see this, this is how your application look and feel. So this is how you can write different CSS. If you wanted to know more about CSS, it is available in W3 School. Anytime you can go and find out all different properties are available. See, everything is here. If you wanted to just have a look of some sort of animations and all, see this, there is an option called CSS animation. You can put different animation over your application button or any of the text. Like see this, I hover it, the button is just running here, it is rotating also. If you want to check it any of this animation, what you can do is you can do a practice in this section also, try it yourself. See this, if I just put a cursor on this, the color is getting changed here. See, so there are different CSS animation they have given here. As an example, you can see it is automatically changing the color within some seconds, right? Now if you wanted to give some other example, come down and see, try yourself. See this, it is floating different area, it is moving. How easy it is, I'll tell you. See this, you need to just only copy what it is doing. This keyframe is the animation part. Copy this keyframe. Let's say I wanted to add the same animation on my button. On the hover of the button, it should run everywhere. Let me just give it. So I'm just completely copying this keyframe, whatever the keyframe it has been available in the W3 School. After doing that, what I'm going to do is, see this keyframe is been used here. Animation duration, animation name. So animation name and animation duration, copy that. So I wanted to do at the time of hovering on the button. So keep simply that two property, animation name, animation duration. So the duration for the 4 second, animation name is example. That example has been used here. What is keyframe? It is just showing you the initial position is 0th position at the time of background color you have given. 25th position means the mid time, then half time, quarter time, full time. So every time, like starting position, 25% position, half time, quarter time, or full time, all the time of color changes that is been given here. And also it is moving towards right hand side to left hand side. This is what the CSS has been given here, right? Now if you see it, I have saved this one, and if I run this, I'll put a hover. See this, it is splitting, it is just basically changing the color. That is what the CSS has been written here, right? It is just go and change this. Now coming to this one, like moving towards left hand side and all, that you can also give it here. Like go back to the W3 School CSS, which CSS is floating? Let me just see that. I think this is the CSS, it was floating. Okay, there is a property called as position relative. That also you need to give it to the CSS. Otherwise, the position will not change. Position relative you have given now. Now go to that application and refresh it. See this. So the animation is working. As I have given it the hover, that's what it is showing, bit annoying, but the animation will work if you don't want to give it in hover. By default, if you apply to this, you can able to see without hover. If you apply it, I'll take it out this three and put it normally to the button. You can see that now. I'll save this out. See, this is how you can put animations also in your application. That is run for 4 seconds. So 0th position is starting position was first position. Then this is the second position, third position, and fourth position, and back to the first position. See? So this is how you can write different CSS in your application. I hope it is understandable to all of you.
So, you have learned how to design an HTML app with CSS. Now, let's understand JavaScript. JavaScript is mainly used to write functionalities. It may be of anything like conditional, maybe data looping, data formatting, or any sort of business logics. Let's understand how to write JavaScript and where to write it. To know JavaScript, you must learn what is variable, what is object, and what is array. So let's understand that first. So let's start with a variable. What is variable? A variable simply name of a storage location. The syntax is var.
So for better understanding, let's compare here variable, object, and array. So as you just learned, variable is nothing but the name of a storage location, and the syntax of a variable is var. So the syntax is var. But remember one thing, this JavaScript is purely case sensitive. So like ABAP, you can write capital letters or small letters. It could not be create any sort of problems for you, but JavaScript definitely will make a problem for you. It is always, remember, it should be always lowercase. So the variable var always has to be lowercase. It should not be capital letters. So this is the syntax of a variable. Then you need to give the name of the variable. I can give anything. Let's say I can give X, I can give Y, I can give Z, or I can give S name, anything I can give it. Or I can give like I number. So there is no such standard rules that you need to give any sort of perfect name here. You can give anything. Let's say I'm giving a variable X as capital. Then I'm giving the value. As I said, it is a storage, right? So X is the variable. I am assigning a value as 10, and it always end up with a semicolon. So variable, this is basically the syntax. This is the syntax, right? This is the variable name. This is the variable name. And this is the value that you have assigned. This is nothing but the value that you have assigned. So you can assign any value to a variable, and that variable is having a capability to store that, right? So similarly, object or array, you can say as a variable. So if you wanted to learn about object, what is the syntax for an object? Variable, the object name, you can give, let's say, employee. What is the syntax? Equals to curly braces open and close, end up with semicolon. This is the syntax of an object. What is the syntax of an array? Variable, a employees, and the syntax is square bracket open and close, end up with a semicolon. So this is how a variable defined. This is how to define an object. This is how to define an array. Now what is an object? What is an array? So first of all, you can say This employee is my object. This employees is my array. Now, what is an object? Let's understand first. Now, if I just tell you one thing, I am talking about something which is having a property called as ID. It is having one more property called as grade. It has one more property called as company name. It should have also one more property named as email. Right? Now, if I say I'm talking about someone who is having one ID, who is having one grade, who is having one company name, who is having one email, and also who is having one designation. So if I ask you what is that person or what is that particular object, you can definitely say that is called an employee, because an employee would be having an employee ID, employee email, employee grade, employee company name, and a designation. So I can say employee is my object. Employee is my object, which is having a different properties, designation, ID, grade, blah, blah, all other things. Now, how to define an object? As I said, this is how to define an object. Now, how to define these properties? Let's understand that. If you wanted to talk about a property with an object with property values like variable employee is equals to braces open, braces closed, given a semicolon at the end, then you give it here double quote, designation is the property. What is the value? You can give it, let's say, lead consultant. Right? Now, if you see, what I'm trying to show is this is one variable, this is one object. The first property is designation and the value is lead consultant. It is separated by a colon. See, the next one would be separated by a comma. Then the second attribute name ID, you can give it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then give one more comma. Then come down, you give it grade, some IS5 grade. Now you are giving company name. Right? I'm giving XYZ. Then I am giving email. So abc dot or at the rate xyz.com. So now if you see this one properly, this become my object. This object is having different properties. One of the properties designation, other one is ID, grade, company name, and email. See, this become one of your object. Now, what is an array? When I talk about an array now, always remember array is nothing but the combination of objects. Like how? Like if I talk about as an example, a car is an object. Car is having different properties like color, brand, price, type, it's manual or automatic. So these are the properties of a car, right? If I talk about a car as an object, the entire showroom would be an array, like where it would be having multiple cars, right? So an array you can define like, as I said, with uh like the braces, it would be open and closed, and it should be defined something like this: variable a employees is equals to the square braces open and closed. Then it should be written like this. As I said, an array is basically a combination of multiple objects. So this will become one of my object. Forget about the object name now. This is one object, right? This is one object. So similarly, this array could have multiple objects. It can store multiple objects. So assume if this is my showroom as an array, it should be having multiple cars, right? Similarly, a employees is my array, which is having multiple employees. So 1, 2, 3, 4 is one of the employee, 1, 2, 4, 6 is another employee, right? So you can say this is how you can define an array. So object is an employee, and array is a combination of multiple objects. So a employees I have given where it can be stored multiple employees, right? In a very simple example, if I say a table is an example of an array where it holds multiple rows, right? Multiple employees value it can store. So array is nothing but a list of information. Object is nothing but a specific information of a particular persona. Okay, that is how it is. The differences between object and array and a variable. I hope you understand that. So now, if I wanted to show you how to write this object, how to write this array. So let me go and open up any of this tab in Google Chrome. Right click on that, go to inspect. In the inspect, there is something called as console. Click on this console. In this console, you can write any JavaScript anytime, and you can execute like you can understand whether it is a correct JavaScript or not. Everything you can do it in this console section. So as I just now talked about, this is an array, right? So object and array concept. Let's say I'm giving variable, or let's say variable name is o employee. O employee is my object, and as I said is equals to, this is the object properties, end up with a semicolon. Now o employee, if you see o employee is having different value. Designation is this, company name is this, email is this, grade is this, ID is this. So this is become an object. Now what is an array? Similarly, if you create an array, variable a employees is equals to, you can give it one employee, again comma another employee. Let's say I'm giving this one 6, and I'm adding one more property here, name. I am giving John. The second one, again I'm adding the same name, like same property name, but the name value would be different. Let's say Rajiv, right? Now this particular a employee, this is our bracket open and closed, end up with a semicolon. Inside that it has two objects, object number 1, object number 2. It can be n number of objects, right? Now let's see this a employee. So see this a employee is having two objects. The count of objects are 2. If you expand this, see this 0th position is this John, and first position is Rajiv information. So now it should be clear to you, right? This is an object. Multiple object can be called as an array. So this is the first object, this is the second object, this is the first object, this is the second object, right? Now you understood, right? What is an array, what is an object. Now coming back to the point, like if I get to know about an array and an object, now how will I do data manipulations and all other things? As an example, o employee is my object. Now this object holds some value like company name, designation, email, grade, and ID. Now if somebody asks you, can I have the email ID of this employee? How do you get to know from an object? So always remember, from an object, if you wanted to get a particular property value, how to get that value? O employee, the object name dot the property name. So email is the property. See this, the email value came here. So object name dot the property, that means to get the value of the property. So o employee dot id is the property to get the id value. See, similarly, a employees is my array, right? This array is having multiple informations. This is the first object, this is the second object. Now if somebody asks you, like, how do you just get me the name or get me the email ID of John, how do you find it out? get me the email ID of John. So John is basically my first object, right? And this is my array. So from the array, I need to first go to the object. Then only inside the object, I'll get to the email ID. How to go first from the array to the object? So A employee is my array. If I wanted to get to know about John information, means my zeroth object. So pass 0 like this. A employees of 0. See, it become the first object. A employees of 1. It become the second object. Now this become an object now. And this become another object. Now, if I wanted to get the John email ID, how will I do? A employees of 0 dot the property is email. See, it become John email ID, right? This is how you can do the data manipulation. One more time, I'll explain it here. So object is basically one specific persona details. It has multiple properties. If you wanted to get to know from a specific object any property value, how do you get to know? The object name dot property name. If you talk about an array, array is a combination of multiple objects. So if you add 10 objects, all the 10 objects will come here. So what you need to do is, it will start always with a 0 and it will continues like that. So if you wanted to manipulate the data, if somebody asks you, go to the first object and get some information, how you can give it? Array of the position of the object, and you can get the value of it. Okay. So this is how you can do the data manipulation. Now coming back to one more interesting thing you should be learning about JavaScript, that is looping concept. You should know what is loop. Now data looping is very important in JavaScript. It may be required every stage of your application development. So you should know how to loop it. So if you wanted to know how to loop it, first of all, there are different looping options are available. So let me just show you. So this is the looping. We have different loops. Number one, if I take a name, so you can say there is something called for loop, which is maximally used. We'll learn about this one. What is a for loop? Let me just tell you what is a loop first. Let's assume you are staying into a society. Okay, in that society, it is having 5 houses. Okay, house number 1, house number 2, house number 3, house number 4, and house number 5. So technically I can say this is one house, the 0th house, this is the 4th house. Now tell me one thing, house here is nothing but my object, is the object, and the society is the array, where in this society having 5 objects mean 5 houses are there, house number 1 till house number 5, right? This is the entire society. So every house is an object. Now if I ask you that you go to each house and ask, is anybody is doctor in that house or not, collect those information, what you will do? You will go to the first house first, you'll ask a question, hey, is anybody doctor in your house? You'll get an answer, either yes or no. Based on your answers or whatever the answers it gets, again you'll go back to the next house, ask the same question, go to the next house again, similarly you'll go to the last house as well. But every time when you go to every houses, you'll be asking the same question again and again, right? That is anybody doctor in your house? So that means you are doing the repeated job. But if you clearly see, you have started with the first house and you are ending up with the last house. After that, you will not go anywhere, right? It's everything completed. So how many times you are going to ask? It depends on how many houses are there in the society, right? So this is called a loop. You are going in a loop, asking the same question again and again and getting the answer. When you ask the first question, then you increment it to the next house, again increment it to the next house, again next house, until the array is get completed. Now this is what called as a loop. So for loop is one of the best practice used or best used a loop in JavaScript. I'll show you what is the syntax of a for loop. See this. For, it always in a lowercase, the initial variable, you can give it, declare any variable, initial value, where from where to start, like I'm starting from the 0th position, so that value you can give it. Then semicolon, I less than, I less than, how many times I'll continue, I'll be looping it, right? Loop should be end also. Like in this I am having 5 houses, I am having 5 houses, 0 1 2 3 4 5, 0 1 2 3 4 5. So 5 houses, so I can say I less than 5, I plus means incrementing the value. Like once you do the first house, then again increment it to 1, go to the second house and do the same, ask the same question. So this is called the loop definition. Now this 5 should not be hard coded, right? It depends on how many houses are there. How to get to know how many houses are there? Then I can say, if this is an array, if this is an array, so if I know the length of the array, then I get to know how many houses are there. Now how to get to know the length of an houses? So tell me one thing. A employees is my array, right? It has 2 objects. How to get to know 2 objects? A employees dot length. If you give that, see the count has came 2. So similarly, you need to use that practice only here. When you go here, you need to give it the array dot length. Then it become like the length of the array. Like in this, if this is an array, there are 5 houses, then it should be 5, right? And inside this, whatever you will be writing it, this place, write what to execute, right? So this become my loop, and in this whatever you will be doing it, that will be continuously looped. Like here in this example, I would be asking a question, how many of you, is anybody there, is anybody there in your house who is doctor? That is the question you're asking. So that should be the place. Here you should place this particular question here. So now this is the looping concept. Variable I is equals to 0. The 0 is basically the starting position. It will continue till the array length, and it will always increment. Okay. So if I go back to the main example, I was showing it to you. So let's say this is the employee. So if I copy the same thing, see this, variable I is equals to 0, I less than a employees dot length, I plus bracket open bracket close. I'm giving an alert of I value. See, you can see now I'm giving the alert of I value. Now see this, see, if I go back to this, I value is 0. Now again, if I click on OK, see, I value become 1, and the loop continues. Then the loop got stopped because it has only 2 objects. That's what it is continue 1 and 2 times, right? This is how you can define a for loop. Now in this alert, if I ask one thing, the same alert, if I just slightly change and ask a job to do, like alert, I'm giving my object number is, see, concatenating this value. Now if you see, if I execute this, see, my object number is 0, then incremented, my object number is 1. So this become how your loop generally works. Okay, this is the basic concept of a loop. Now there is a something called as a condition. What is a condition called? Condition is basically Now this condition is basically, there is a condition called as if and else condition. So what is the syntax? If, you can give here whatever the condition you want to keep it here, and then else. This is the if and else condition. So first, if, put the condition. What is the condition? Like if you want to say like I value is equals to, or I value is equals to 1, then give it alert or something like alert I'm giving okay. Otherwise you give it alert as not okay. Now I'm copying this out and putting inside the loop. Instead of alert of this one, I'm putting a condition. If the I value is 1, then alert is okay. Otherwise, alert is not okay. So if I execute it, I value is initially 0. It should come not okay first. See this? Not okay. Now I value would be incrementing by 1. This time it should come okay. See, it will come okay. Now condition means nothing but you are putting a condition. If the condition satisfied, matched, then this will execute. Otherwise, it will go to the else call. Okay, this is called if and else condition. Now coming to the part like I have shown you I equals to 1. Now previously I shown you variable x is equals to 10. Now I just now shown you I is equals to 1. Now you'll be asking me a question. What is this 1 equals to? What is this double equals to? What is this triple equals to? There are 3 different equals to are available in JavaScript. This equals to means assigning some value. This equals to means check some condition. Condition means that value matches or not. Like I equals to 1. I value is matching with 1 or not. It is checking. Now this one, check condition with data type. Now this is something interesting. What is that? So see, whenever I'm assigning some value to a variable, there are different data types are there, right? There is something called integer. There is something called string, right? So now tell me one thing. What is an integer? What is a string? So I can say 10 is my integer, but this is my string. Definitely both are two different data type. Now, whenever you want to check some condition, let's say I value is equals to 10 and I'm giving X value is equals to this particular 10. But both the values are same, but both are in a different two data type. But if you are putting a condition not to consider the data type, then go with this one. Go with this one. This double equals to. It won't check the data type. Check condition without data type, right? And once you give this condition, triple equals to is always not only check the value, it always check value along with the data type. Value along with the data type means if this 10 and this 10s are not same. Let me show you as an example here. Come here. Let's say x is equals to 10, which is a number, integer, right? Now y is equals to string. Now if I give a condition, if I give a condition here, 1 second. So x is equals to 10, y is equals to string as a string, 10. Now x, if I give double equals to y, it should be correct as true because it is just checking the values. Both the values are same. But if you give x triple equals to y, see, it is false because that the value are same but not in a same data type, right? So this is how basically the definition of 1 equals to, double equals to, and triple equals to. This generally asked in so many interviews. Remember that. So in JavaScript, it is having so many of standard function. Like as an example, Let's say x is 10, right? X value is 10. Now I want to convert this x value 10 to a string. How do you convert? There is a standard method called toString. It can convert any number to a string, like x dot toString. Give a function. See, now it was previously was integer, now it become a string. Now if you give it x equals to y, so x, this is x, that is y, so y value, one second, so y value I'm also giving as a string now. Now let's see, still it is coming wrong on it. X is okay, x is still having 10 as a number. So now x is equals to x dot toString. If you give it, now that value got stored inside the x variable. Now see this, now x is equals to y is correct. See this. So toString is the function to convert any number to a string. Now to convert any string to a number, what will do it? Let's say y is equals to string, right? Now y dot, or you can give it number of y. This string become a number now. See this. So toString is to convert any number to a string, number of something, or % of y. This is also converting anything to integer. Okay, remember those things. Now if you wanted to learn how to find out all those standard JavaScript function, you can definitely go to the JavaScript in W3 school. In this you can definitely get so many options to see what is a variable, what is arithmetic text like the plus, minus, multiplication and division, and all other thing, how to convert this, how to convert an array, like how what is an array, what is an object, what are the standard functions are available, everything you can find it out in this section. So this should be your base referral of JavaScript, HTML5 and CSS.
So, I hope this video helps you to understand the basics of web development. Thank you for watching this video. For more technical videos, subscribe to our channel. Have a great day and see you later in the next video.